The Matri Mandir has 4 pillars. You know, it's a kind of, not fully like circular, it's a bit flattened, but it sits up over ground, no? It sits on 4 pillars. These 4 pillars, Mother gave the names of the 4 aspects of the Mother. And there we have Mahakali to the north, Maheshwari to the south, Mahalakshmi always to the east, no? And Mahasaraswati to the west. And the importance of Matri Mandir we can see also by the fact that the moment, the time when the last pillar was completed, the concreting of the last pillar, Mahakali pillar, that is the moment, the time when Mother left her body. She didn't leave it earlier in that evening. She left it when that pillar was concreted. You all have a Tsunamika doll on you. This is a project which was initiated by Uma when the tsunami had happened in Oroville. It engaged the fisherwomen and they gave them a motivation. It's a gift economy base, so I think millions of these dolls have traveled all over the world as gift. They are not sold, and now they have actually gone on a kind of global level through United Nations, but I think this project came to represent India. We also, as one part of this project, did the 12 quality dolls. So this is what you are having. So you have each taken one without specifically looking and choosing, no? So I would like you to do a bit of an exercise while I'm speaking and going into this, where you actually look at what is the quality of your doll. And you listen to what I'm saying and you interact by looking at it through that quality. This is what we are using them a lot like this, these qualities, to actually enter topics and subjects through that quality. And it has a very, very direct deepening space, which I'm going to talk about. So, and then I want to say that my very first encounter, I loved Mother symbols, so that was all there for a long time, no? I also used to have the one with the colors, because I really liked it. But the first encounter I had, where I saw that this was an absolute living reality, I had looked at symbols as kind of pictures before, no? Showing that you belong to a certain group or ideology or something like this, no? But this showed me it was a living reality. And actually, the same quality that I picked now without looking was that quality that I landed with that very, very first time. So several things with synergy has come up, no? So this is perseverance. That's a very, very strong quality for me. I know. Before, when I didn't know anything, that one I knew that I had it, no? That I could say yes. So with the Mother symbol, you have the center, which is the divine consciousness. Then you have the 4 aspects: Mahakali, Mahalakshmi, Mahasaraswati, and Maheshwari. And then you have 12 qualities. Already in the beginning of the last century, around 1910, 1912, Mother was talking about these 12. She had not given the names, but with the group in Paris that she worked with, she was already talking about this. We can go back and see that. In 1927, together with Sri Aurobindo, it's the same time as the book The Mother is being published. At that time, Sri Aurobindo gives the colors of the petals and the order of the colors, and the Mother, she gives the names to them at that time. And might be a little bit controversial, but to me that is a part of the amazing reality, is that this is the first rainbow flag. And when you look at the rainbow flag that we have today, basically, as I have understood it, it started out as a symbol for the gay movement. But like everything which connects to Sri Aurobindo and Mother, it can never be small, it gets wide. So under that rainbow flag today, every difference walks, the diversity fully. This is amazing, amazing, beautiful. And here you have it in 1927, these colors of the rainbow. So I'm just looking at it like this because I am not going to talk about the divine consciousness at the center. I'm not going to talk about the four aspects, but I would like to say that what has happened is that when you have mother symbol, what is up, what is down, which quality sits where, we can't really know, unless we have the colors, of course. And we do know that Sri Aurobindo said that Mahakali was up, the red was up, no? You see, even in the ashram, you will find they print T-shirts which has the colors in all kinds of places. So this has not been, it has taken a long time to enter our consciousness, the connections. It took me 1 year at least to learn the order of the qualities, to be able to have them as a remembrance. Today it is not difficult at all. It's all this, when something comes down, something gets established, and we are all part of it. But in the beginning it is more difficult and it takes time now. So because of the Matri Mandir, we know much more. Thank you. So the Matri Mandir has 4 pillars. You know, it's a kind of, not fully like circular, it's a bit flattened, but it sits up over ground. No? It sits on 4 pillars. These 4 pillars, Mother gave the names of the 4 aspects of the Mother. And there we have Mahakali to the north, Maheshwari to the south, Mahalakshmi always to the east, no? And Mahasaraswati to the west. And the importance of Matri Mandir we can see also by the fact that the moment, the time when the last pillar was completed, the concreting of the last pillar, Mahakali pillar, that is the moment, the time when Mother left her body. She didn't leave it earlier in that evening. She left it when that pillar was concreted. This is the interaction. This is the living reality, the Matri Mandir, the Mother symbol. We really have to see that. So because of this, we know that you have Mahakali, you have Mahasaraswati, Mahalakshmi, and Maheshwari. So all of these things what I'm talking about, nothing of this is a kind of figuring out of thinking. It all has been coming as a kind of, you could call it downloading, no? An interest comes up, you see something, there is a pressure and you follow it. So there has been I have had to do the research according to what I knew, and I'm not a scholar, no. I've been a very much slow fox in my life, even when I knew what I wanted to do. So it all has come like that. So some of the things I can't tell you now because I simply don't know it as of now, no. So it started, that whole work, with these 12 qualities, to start to research them. So I had an experience in 2001. I had another experience in 2004, 2005. And then I came back to Auroville. I had been out for some years to look after my parents, and then they had passed away. And then I took up this work much more intensively. And I started off simply going to the petals, because you see, each petal has a color, no? And a quality. So I would go to these petals, sit and do a meditation.
There is a city near Pondicherry called Auroville. And at the heart of that city, Mother has designed a temple called Matri Mandir. And it's been very specifically designed. And this is like a 2-dimensional version of it. And the actual temple is a 3-dimensional version. It's a beautiful golden dome, like a geodesic dome. And then there are gardens designed all around it. And it is in the context of that physical structure that Jaya is making this presentation.
Yes. So what you have is that it is golden. The golden ball, people say, who comes as tourists. No? So it's a golden dome. And when you enter it, you go down and then you go up. Actually, it is partly into the earth, no? And it has these 12 petals from which it is emerging. And it's kind of sometimes very Egyptian when you move, the way you move between the petals, no? It has, you go down, you enter the building, and you come up to what we call the second level. That's a huge space area It has a specific orange color on its, what we call the inner skin. The outer skin is golden, okay? And then we have the inner skin. And this place, the second level, is very beautiful also. It's amazing because it has all the elements. It has fire, the presence of fire, presence of water, air, of course, matter, absolutely, and it has space. It is, and you have there 2 staircases which wind up to reach the inner chamber, upper chamber as we call it. And this chamber, Mother had given exact design. She had seen it and she gave exact the measures, etc. So it's a room fully in white marble. It is 12-sided, no? And there is at the center of it a very large crystal. It was at that time the largest man-made crystal. It was made by Zeiss in Germany, no? So it is at the center, and you have a ray of light which, through a system on top, focuses the sun in. So that ray of light it goes down through the crystal, and then it goes down through the whole building, and under the building there is a lotus pond where the water runs inwards, and at the center there, again, there is a smaller crystal where the light comes down into the earth. It's very simple, very quiet. You don't speak like that when you go there. And Mother said, now I'm not good at quoting, so I will just say it in my own words. Mother said that concentration, that is for concentration, the chamber. The petals are meditation petals. So the interpretation for me is that the concentration is when you open yourself to the divine and you let it come down, simply. You are a vessel. You give your empty vessel, you let it come down. Meditation is when we go with our needs, our prayers, what we need to develop. So there's a kind of a difference in those 2 aspects, no? In the chamber, you can sit up to, I think, if you would really crowd in, maximum 100 people. In the petals, you can sit 10 people only. And so and the petals have then a color. There is an artist who had worked with that, and they also have a kind of a symbol in front, which comes from this artist's meditation. I can say one thing about that, and that is when she was working with these symbols for the petals, she started with aspiration, and she saw that aspiration is one line. It's a straight line. It doesn't have anything moving. It is like this. The symbol of sincerity, it's a straight line. It's between us and the divine, like this. And in all the other symbols that she made for all the other petals, that line of sincerity is in the center. And I will kind of come back to this thing. So I used to go and sit in the petals, focus, concentrate, see? And then I got the push that I wanted to go to all the petals, from one to the other, to experience what is it. So when you do that, and it's not open always like this, you have to sit in each petal 3 minutes, maybe 5 minutes, no? So I was just experimenting with this. I would go into the petal, I would sit down, always starting with sincerity, because the Mother starts them with sincerity, no? So I would concentrate, and I would simply try to catch something. And I can't even tell you what it was that I was trying to catch or what I caught, but I could feel that there was something. And then I would hold that literally like this inside in heart area, and I would go to the next one. I would do the same, and I would build it up, not knowing what I was doing consciously, only feeling that I had to do it. And then I saw, after some time, I got a kind of I saw what it was. It was like a mandala, no? Or a mala. And then I have to go back and say something else, and that is that, because I jump sometimes like this. In 27, Sri Aurobindo gave the colors and Mother gave the names. In the 50s, she talks again about this with the evening classes. And in 71, when they have started and want to build Matri Mandir, starting it, Rocher Anger, who was the chief architect and who is the architect of Matri Mandir, he asked a person named Satprem, who was very close to Mother. If you know about the agenda, that was Satprem who was working with Mother with that. No? What are the names? What shall we call these meditation petals? So then she says, yeah, I have something here. So she kind of finds her paper, I guess, from before, and she gives it. And then she says something else that she has not been saying before. She says, the first 8 are regarding our attitude towards the divine. And the last 4 regards our attitude towards humanity. So this is very interesting because this is, and because we have the placing, suddenly you have a lot of elements to play together with, no? So when I was doing this, then I saw what emerged was that sincerity is the base. Without sincerity, you cannot build, you cannot do anything. Then comes humility. We are so small and we know so little. Even the most fantastic scholars among us, still, the universe is infinite in its knowledge, existent capacity. Then comes gratitude. And I think that when you are in this path of sadhana and you see how everything is given, and you don't even need to go to that, you can just look at the world around you. It's a beyond a miracle, the space that is there. Even with all the disasters, it's still just the most amazing, beautiful place. Look at the sky, the water, whatever. Gratitude. Now comes perseverance. So perseverance is like the wood that you put into the sacrificial fire. And Mother says you do it again and again, 100 times, as if it was the first time. So that is perseverance. Now, when you are putting that wood into that fire, the flame is there, the agni, the aspiration. This is aspiration. You're doing this work, this will come. Now, when you have aspiration, you have to have receptivity. Because the whole universe is divine, it speaks to you. And we can't sit there and say, like, I want to see this, I want to have that answer. No, it is speaking, and you have to have that receptivity to listen. When you have aspiration and receptivity, progress is a given. It happens. It simply happens. It's not something which you have to do something for. Aspiration, receptivity, progress happens. And now, when you make progress, you have to have courage. The world is not going to like it, and you're not going to like it either, no? Progress makes you move things. You scream inside because you're not just one person in here. It's very multiple. It is lifetimes, and it is lifetimes within this life too, no? It's all these problems, that pains from childhood which are sitting there. We can't even see them, no? But they sit in our body, in our vital, in our all the things which have gotten distorted. And I think there are very, very few people who don't carry this kind of luggage, no? So you need courage, okay? These are the first 8. They are between us and the divine. It's nobody else's business. This is our internal thing. That's where we grow, because that is in this relation. And then we are in life. So then we have humanity. So goodness, generosity, equality, and peace. Those 4. And then it is very interesting, because when we started to look at that, then we saw that it was not easy at all. Oh, we have to be good, we should be nice, we should be kind, we should be good. You don't get inside, no? Yeah, we should be generous, we have to give, we have to give. You don't get into it, no? And then came the first experience, and it also just was like this. I had been trying to look, what is the connection between these 4 aspects of the mother and the qualities? What is it that connects? And with the mind, I was sitting on the computer because I was curious, no? Nothing happens, you can't see anything, you're completely blind, no? And then I actually was working with the group. We had started to do the first sessions. 2012, we found a way to create a workshop on this, no? So we have these cards here. Now, Uma gave me the 4, which are towards humanity, no? So using them, in a workshop setup with people. We usually work often in small groups of 6, because then everybody can be heard and seen. It's very interactive. It actually works from unity. The first thing we saw was that these workshops, they didn't work from division towards unity, they worked from unity. So they put us in unity, and it's an amazing way to work. So we have worked with definitely more than 1,000 people with this kind of methodology. And we have worked on, that you were saying, a lot on organizational development. And we actually created a selection process without having any kind of quota or anything, by itself came out with gender balance, balance between age groups, balance between knowledge and experience, etc. No? So it's very, very, very alive and working. No? I want to say here, you see. So I am just sitting, I am working with the group, our entry group, who takes in people. It's a very difficult group to sit in. And I had worked with them actually through all the 12 qualities with this methodology. And it was the 3rd day we were working, and they were very busy, so they asked, could I wait? So I was sitting in the room waiting, and this one was sitting on the wall. So I was basically sitting, and I was kind of staring in the blue, and this happened to be in my sight. And suddenly I saw, oh my God, we didn't see that one. That's amazing. It gives us to right to the center of it. You see, this is Mahakali, and this is Mahasaraswati. Now you notice you have overlapping, but all the 4 here, which are towards humanity, they all sit on Mahasaraswati. They all sit there. What is Mahasaraswati? Big word for her is perfection, but she's order, she's organization, but it's not bureaucracy, it's music, no? That is Mahasaraswati. You cannot deal with humanity in an arbitrary way. You have to have order, but not rigidity, no? Mother talks about flexibility and plasticity endlessly, no? Okay? So, they are all 4 sitting on her, but goodness is overlapping with Mahakali. Now, if Mahasaraswati is order and organization and perfection, Mahakali is truth consciousness. And Sri Aurobindo Mother says she's the most loving aspect of the Divine Mother. And sometimes, at least for Westerners, that's a bit difficult to understand, no? And I just always kind of go back and move from my own life, no? And I know I have 4 kids. When a child is really hurt, it's very difficult to be there, to be present. Sounds horrible, no? Huh? Mahakali stays with you all the time. She was the first aspect of the mother that I came close to. And I always loved her because I knew I was such a useless person, no? But I knew that she would not leave me till that last thing is gone, you know. That's like the most fantastic thing, that you know she will take you all the way, whatever happens. And you are safe in that she will do that. You will not drop halfway with her, you know. So she's the most loving aspect, and she's truth consciousness. So then you have goodness. And then you get an integrity line, because actually you have then the gardens. I will go into them more later, but I just want to say it now. The garden here is the garden of life. So now you look at life and you look at goodness, and you have an integrity line which says truth consciousness, love, order, organization, perfection. You don't need to talk about percentage for how much outlets of the cars. You see it. It's totally visible. So then you have peace. It's also overlapping. It's overlapping with Maheshwari. Wisdom, wideness, universality, inclusiveness, that holding. You get a depth which is unbelievable when you look at it, you know. It's just like, it just sings through you when you start to explore it, no? So, Sri Aurobindo says that essentially, in general principle, the 12 powers are the vibrations that are necessary for the complete manifestation. And then Mother says it's the symbol of manifestation, double perfection, in essence and in manifestation, in the creation. When you read in the Mother, there is a place where Sri Aurobindo describes how the Divine Mother goes into manifestation. And when you read it, you can literally sense where these qualities come in. Because they are core qualities. So they are very close when it all starts. So you have, I usually say, like it's like with the Indian gods. You have 1, you have 3, and then you have, I don't know, 33 million, is that correct? You see? And it's the same thing. If you search on values and qualities on the net, you will get up huge amount. But these are core. These are core qualities. And you see it when we do this work, to use this at lens, it works immediately. One example, we have these big camps, or bigger camps in Nainital. Every year we call it Sourcing Our Oneness. We started it because we have had in the 70s the break between with society and Auroville especially, but also ashram, etc. that had been. So that has all been festering, kind of sitting there all these years underneath, that there is a division. So there was a sense that this division has to go. So we have to start in a very humble way, and we started with doing this event, Sourcing Our Oneness, to bring people together from these different organizations. The last one we had was, we have done that for 6 or 7 years also. It was in March last year, no? Yeah. And not the last one, we had one after, but I wanted to refer to that one. We were 105 people in Nainital, where we can live in the Delhi ashram, has a place there. We can be that many. And we had people from 17, the youngest, and the oldest was 77, but we have had up to 85 years old also now. People from very different backgrounds, people who were not knowledgeable about Maharishi Sri Aurobindo or not exposed deeply, people who have been deep in sadhana for a lifetime, no? And we were working, and we did one of these exercises where we were divided into groups. And I have a feeling that we were looking at simply sincerity. What is sincerity? And you can look at sincerity through goodness or through generosity or through aspiration. Just depends on what you're looking through, no? So one young boy there, he came from one of our outreach schools in Auroville, 17, I think, years old. And I saw him sitting. Because what you do is that you have to, you read the quality, you internalize it, you have your question, and then you have to write 3 stickers. What comes to you, 1 word or a sentence like that. So he was stuck, he was sitting, because it's very scary, all these people, and I'm sitting here, and I'm very young, and I don't know it all, so what can I say? So he's sitting, so I went over, I saw it, I sit with him, I put my hand, I cajole him, etc., and I get him to write. I don't tell it all he knows what to write, but I get him to do the act. And he does a second one, and then I see he's stuck on the 3rd one. So I go over to him again, and then he says, no, I will. So I said, you know it, just write because you know it, okay? So he writes, and you know what this boy wrote on that 3rd one, on sincerity? He wrote simply 100%. That is extremely deep. And this is a young man who doesn't trust himself at all, but he has it. And we worked also, not only did we have this diversity, we had 6 languages going, English plus 5 major Indian languages. And we were all using, and we didn't have special interpreters. People are working together in great joy, So I'm saying this to say that this works in the most amazing ways, very simply. That's Matra Mandir that you see there, the golden building. And this is the amphitheater. So what you have here, not so visible, but this cone here, there's a sculpture there. And in that one, you have the earth from, I think, 124 countries of the world. And then you have this big tree here. That's the banyan tree. That's the geographical center. So this is a bonfire, usually on Auroville's birthday, early in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning. We have a bonfire, and everybody comes together, and we have a meditation with Mother's music and like that. So here you can see, this is actually an aerial photo of the Matra Mandir and the petals. So here you have the Matra Mandir, here you have the petals, and then you have the gardens. So the gardens, as you can see, if this is a petal, you see that the garden comes out from the petals. And while the petals are kind of tools and things you work with, the gardens are fields of consciousness. So here you have, this is the petal of goodness, and you have the garden of life. You have the banyan tree here. So generosity, power. And there I would like to give an example also, because there is more. Mother did a huge work with flowers. Some of you are aware of that? Yeah. So she actually connected with the flowers. Was it here somebody talked about that internal message? No. So she has named almost 900 flowers. Not named, she has given the description of the essence, what is the communication. So for the gardens, she has given a flower specially for each garden, no? And I just want to use one example. That is that if you take here, you have power, okay? That is the garden of power. The petal is generosity. So if we look at what does this mean, generosity, power, and then the flower for this garden is aesthetical beauty. So if you look at that, then you see generosity has a capacity to dissolve. Very few qualities have this capacity. I don't know if there's any, but generosity, movement, can in a almost fraction of a second shift things which has been stuck for any amount of time. It has that. It dissolves. Okay? It dissolves things. It just shifts it like this. It's a very, very rare thing. Not only that, generosity is extremely contagious. You must see on Facebook, you put something there which is acting with generosity, everybody will want to give to it, no? Huh? Because it tells about somebody who is doing something generous, then you want to chip in. You might not be able to start something yourself, but generosity is contagious. And it has the power to shift. And if we want to shift power in a new paradigm, okay, it's got to have this element in it. Because it means that you don't hold on to power, you take away the fear, you can move it, you can shift it, it works in a totally different way. And then you have aesthetical beauty, which means what is the power of beauty as a change maker? Look at our schools, look at our hospitals, look at our cities, look at ourselves maybe. How much does beauty influence us as we are moving in life? I talk a lot to architecture students because it just happened like that in Oroville, because they were coming to Unit Pavilion and there was nobody talking with them, and then I started to talk with them and I knew enough, and then I learned more so I could give lectures basically to them. And one thing which is there, you cannot have sustainability without beauty. Impossible. You can have 10,000 water treatment plants and rainwater catchers and everything. If you do not have beauty, it is not sustainable, because beauty nourishes us. We are actually very, very, very important factor. So here you have, in this field of power for the shifts, beauty is a very important factor, and generosity is an absolutely important thing. I wanted to give you a little feel, because some people ask about Oroville, etc. No? So I have put it in the context of, you have here, not so big, this is the galaxy plan of Oroville. So basically what you see here, this part, is this part here. Okay? So today we are working with this symbolism. Is not just contained. First we were talking about the matrimony matrix, but actually the whole of the city is like that. And I was just telling somebody, because we have right now also a quarrel in the community, and it concerns this, is it this one here? Yeah, that one there. That is called the Crown, okay? And it's an activity hub. The whole city is planned in such a way that it's walkable and cyclable everywhere, okay? Minimal traffic, collective traffic, all motorized, what we call combustion engines out. Mother was already then in the end of the 60s talking about small electrical vehicles driving 15 kilometers of an hour. You know, she's way ahead of all of what we could imagine. So Here, actually, you have the crown. Alok Pandey is a person in the ashram. So he gives talks, you can see on the net and like that. I happened to see, there was one, he said, Auroville is a yantra. So I got very curious because I'm working with all this. And then I saw that he said there that the crown is the Sudarshan chakra. So I was very, very curious about this because, wow, that's amazing. What does that mean, no? The very next morning after I had read this, I went to see an elderly man in the ashram, elderly in age, not in spirit, and his name is Richard, and I see him once a week to read Secret of the Secret of the Veda with him. I love this very, very much. So he normally, when he reads, because we meet, I usually bring flowers, we put the flowers. He will read the Sanskrit, he will read the English verse from Sri Aurobindo, and he will read the footnotes. That's what, and then usually most of the time we sit quiet in meditation for some time afterwards, and that's it, no? So this one time, that morning after I had seen this video, he reads, and in one place there is a name, I don't remember the name now, but it's the name for Vishvakarma. So there's a footnote from Sri, is the divine architect, no? So there's a footnote by Sri Aurobindo, so he reads the footnote. And then Richard say, wait, I must, he wants to understand more. So he kind of turns around, he finds his Sanskrit dictionary on the bed, and he takes it out and reads it. Finds up this name and Vishvakarma. So it says, Vishvakarma is the divine architect. He has 2 children, a son and a daughter. His daughter is going to marry the sun god. But it's too bright. She cannot go close to him. So Vishvakarma takes the disk of the sun, puts it on his lathe, and cuts off the rim. And now the daughter can go closer to her husband, no? Huh? With this rim, he creates the Sudarshan chakra. He creates the Trishul of Shiva and the weapons of the other gods. And you know, when I'm listening to this, I feel like I, as a collective being, am that daughter. And this crown is the Sudarshan chakra. Savitri, of course, is the sun, no? Or the sun god, okay? Which is a supramental consciousness. So suddenly I'm there in a space where this somehow enables this thing to happen. Auroville, we are building Auroville, but Auroville will build us. It's a place, we can say what we want and why are they like that and why are they fighting and all this, but this place is actually a place where something absolutely extraordinary is happening by the direct presence of the divine, and we are co-creators. It doesn't depend on us. Mother was very clear. It doesn't depend on humanity or you people. That's why you can laugh about it, she said. But she also said in another place, his consciousness was pressing and she was busy, and then finally it was pressing, so she said, okay, what is it, sort of, no? And then it said something, and then she said, but why we? And it said, because the Aurovillians will be able to collaborate. So you see, I think myself that the speed of the thing has with us to do. How fast it comes, that it will come. It will come. But if we consciously collaborate, and I feel that all what I've been talking about now are the ways for us to collaborate. It's tools directly for our collaboration. She said it's so important that the Matrimandir comes in place, especially for the Aurovillians, for everybody, for the whole world, but especially for the Aurovillians. So this is like a totally mystical reality in the most real, absurd, normal life, where we fight and we have this, and right now we are in a conflict, you know. But this is what is pushing. This is what is happening. Matrimandir describes as fields of consciousness, the gardens, no, with the vibrations that are necessary for the complete manifestation. And Mother says, it must be a thing of great beauty, of such beauty that when people come, they will say, this is it. It must be an expression of that consciousness which we are trying to bring down. And you know, it's very beautiful, but we are already redoing the second garden. We don't have them all done. But we are redoing the second because the gardens have to express our level of consciousness. And we just do step by step, So 2 are already, one is redone, second one is being redone. And meanwhile, we have, I think, 6 or 7 more gardens to go, This is the sentence that brought me into Secret of the Veda. And it was Richard who was showing me a page, and this was there, and I couldn't believe it, Truth of thought creates truth of vision. And truth of vision forms in us truth of being. And out of truth of being, satyams, flows naturally truth of emotion, will, and action. I want to mention another level of working which has come from this with kind of 3 different implementations. And I thought maybe we can just do, after that, a concentration on one of them, So it so happened that some 4 years ago, I had been working. I'm kind of very active person. So I had been, I think, very busy, and I was really lost all the energy, Was very, very depleted. And went to some healer, and then I was basically sent to one of our oldest and very, very, very good healers. So I was with her and I think I saw her 7 times in 9 days. So that was the level, and she couldn't get the pulse up and all this kind of stuff, But what happened was that in each session, I don't know what she did. I had my eyes closed. She said, you want to take some stones, you can take some stones here. You want to use some soma, you can take. So I like these beautiful things. So I took, so she says, you put them where you want to put them, and like that, And then what she did, I don't know, because I had my eyes closed the whole time. But I had most wonderful series of experiences. Totally lovely. On the last day, because she had to leave and I was supposed to go somewhere, she said, no, you better go to see a doctor in Jipmer, this top guy there, because can't get the pulse up. So I said, no. This is a very good space. It seems my body is just making me be still, because I can't be still on my own, So it's just doing it. So I'm not going to do anything. But one thing which happened during those sessions was that I had put an orange stone here. And I got a very specific connection during the session, which was connected somehow. It brought up the whole thing of sannyas and a lot of other things again around this orange. So I got extremely, felt again, here is something we need to, it's like you become like a detective, What is this? How do we go? So then I went home and then I looked up chakras. And I have not been doing chakra work like that, using the chakras for concentration in all the other work I had been doing a lot, but not like, simply because that was a way of anchoring it in the body. So then I look it up and I see that actually the chakras or the color order is exactly the same as on Mother's symbol. So that is the first thing. You have 6 colors, okay? I'm just working from here. And I put just the white on top, okay? So then you have 6 colors, while in Mother's symbol, you have 6 pairs of 2. So I started off to research that by simply taking the colors. So I would take one of the colors, and I felt I had to play because there was from the dark to the light, whatever, So I could actually tune in my body the color. When the first time I tried to do it, very difficult. I couldn't anchor. So then I thought, let me use some stones. That was what happened. So I had stones, precious stones, and I could put them. Just as I put the color stones, very, very easy. Crystals also works very easily. I also found that when I was walking, because at that time I was doing walking every morning, I could very easily take the color from nature. The sky, when the sun is rising, it's very pale yellow. That is the perseverance color, And you have the flowers. So it's very easy actually to take the colors from nature. Not so easy to take it from material things. But from nature, you can put it in and you can work with it very easily. And with the crystals or the precious stones, it is very easy also now. So first I simply started to work with the color. Building up a cocoon first, totally held. Then going to what I feel as the subtle physical, because the colors are very, very different, trying to catch a moment of the color, okay, and then bringing the color into the body fully. So I would do these things. It would take about 1.5 hours the way I worked it to the whole being. And I saw this was like taking a bath. It was totally, so I assume I done it with the colors, I done it with the same colors in all chakras, I done it with different, I'm pretty sure that this is an instrument of healing, not the organs and the specific things, but it actually regenerates the whole body. You come out as if you have had an amazing, amazing bath. And it's very different. I first were doing with the different colors, and then I was in Sweden, I had my stones with me, and then I started to long to do with just the blue, with Sri Aurobindo's color, with the what do you call them, aquamarine, no? So when I came back to India, I knew that was the first thing I had to do, was to do this fully blue. I also used the gold tiles from the Matrimandir, and sometimes I use also diamonds, because it's really very strong, no? All this, a wonderful thing to do. Wonderful, and I'm sure it has to do with the healing. And Sri Aurobindo says that the chakras most probably is what will be replacing the organs. So I do think that when you work with this, you're actually working with that shift consciously. And also, a little bit embarrassed to say this part, no, because I simply use my imagination. But I also, when I do this, I go down into what I figure the subconscious, the unconscious, and the inconscient. And I do not formations, but I fix it now. So I use the mantras. Of course, Sri Aurobindo's Gayatri mantra is a prime mantra. And then Om Anandamayi, Om Sri Aurobindo Mother. And then there is a very, very beautiful mantra, what Mother has given, that is the translation of Om Anandamayi. That one, because I'm not Hindi or Sanskrit speaking, so that one comes very close. No, she's simple. She the delight, she the consciousness, she the truth, she the supreme. So that is, these are, so I use, and also Asatoma Satakamaya, but I think one can use what one feels. And I use it to whatever, when I go downwards, I anchor what is happening, okay, and my intention. And when I go up, I again confirm it like that. So these are sessions which take maybe 1.5 hours and something, but that is when you are alone and you do these things. No? So that was the first one. The second one was that I was doing this with the colors, and then I thought, but what about the qualities? And then using the qualities is that you basically get the paradigm shift. What needs to happen in the world now, what needs to shift. So in 56, we know that the supramental came down. Mother says a new world is born. On top of it, in 58, Mother Nature says to Mother, I will collaborate. So I assume that Mother Nature is all this. So there's a collaboration which comes from that us, which we are because of the body and the whole thing. No? So when you do this and you look, a lot of this work from the beginning asks that you do two things at the same time. And I figured out that's a very good thing, because the supramental holds all the opposite, and we need to start practicing with our brains. It's almost impossible to think two things at the same time. Holding a quality, holding a topic. But it is good to practice, you know, and to do it also not as a practice, but something that you just have to do, and it doesn't matter if you forget it and you just do the quality or just the other one. No. But what happens here is that I use very simple terminology, no. So here, this is the brain is here, no? Brain is not the one who comes up with the knowledge and the things. It doesn't come from the brain. The brain is a system maker. Very excellent, okay? Now, what are the two qualities that sit here? Those two qualities are generosity and equality. That's the purple color. Generosity and equality. What are the fields that go with them? Are the fields of power and fields of wealth. Look at the world right now. Mother says, she says one thing about these things. She says, money should no more be the sovereign lord. if you look at power, what power is doing, okay? Suppression, want, need, greed, whatever you take. And then you look at equality. And the garden of equality that comes there, that is wealth. Okay, so you have the gardens of power and wealth. Now, if you look at the paradigm shift and you think about what Mother has said, that each one should have what they need for their full growth, their full development, and their full expression in life. Who has that in this world? It is the ultimate potential for the individual. It's the ultimate potential for the family. It's the ultimate potential for the society, for the country, for the world. Are we doing it? Zero. Very, very few people get that space. And if you look at all the ones who really don't get it, in the slums, in the factories, wherever, you know, it's really, it needs to shift. That one needs to shift completely. So now when you know that that is there, you can actually work, because you can see that the first thing we need to do at this point in evolution and where we are, is that we need to shift these two fields. They need to shift. Generosity and equality are two of the change makers there. That is primary. When those two fields shift, it will shift everywhere. They are primary. They are holding the iron bands that hold it. So when you go in and work with it, you have conversations with yourself, because your wisdom is there. So you see, and the more you do this, the more you start to actually act it and less forget it, no? Go to this space. This is the blue color. So you have the dark blue of peace, deep blue of peace, I would say, and you have that beautiful, like aquamarine color of Sri Aurobindo. This is sitting here. The two qualities, peace and sincerity. The fields of progress and utility or usefulness. So this is communication, all communication. Look at TV, look at our newspaper. What are we doing? Are we promoting peace? Are we promoting the participation of everybody? If you want to have peace, maybe one step is that everybody is needed and everybody is useful. And if you look back, I only look at my life now. In the 50s, what started to shift? In the 60s, early 60s in Sweden, it shifted for the people with handicaps. It shifted for the people with the mental difficulties. Before, they were treated like animals, okay? All this started to shift after 56 radically. It's not that nothing has happened before, no, but this is really when the shift comes. We have to look, we have lots of beautiful things happen. It's not just all wars and all that, no. So here, whatever we write and whatever we speak and whatever we act has to have sincerity and peace. It will bring progress. That's key, and I think for all of us who are aware, even, you know, when you write a letter to somebody, the reactiveness, we tag. We will, very difficult to, you know, if you're upset with somebody, to write in such a way that you don't shoot them somewhere, at least a little bit, you know, to get your feeling like you have done it, no? How to move this, not to be some kind of, you know, peacenik, just like love and peace, no. There is truth consciousness, you have to have integrity, no? Then you come to the heart. This is the green color, okay? And then you have, of course, the pink for the psychic being, no? But the green color, this is humility and gratitude. And when you go inwards and have that conversation of humility and gratitude, and the fields are youth and harmony. And youth, first step, Mother Sri Aurobindo talks about immortality, no? But the first step is that we don't age inside. Body will still grow, you know, have that disintegration. But inside, because one sign of age, very much what we see, is stuckness. I know. Now I know, and my will is here. No, we stay young, we stay flexible, we keep on growing till the very end in those spaces where we can do that. It will affect everything because everything, this is holograms. Nothing is without something else, no? Go to the navel. So this is our will, no? I put it in my terminology. This is the will, okay? So how do we use our will? We dominate, we push, we insist, no? So what are the two qualities here? So the qualities are perseverance and aspiration. Perseverance means you just keep repeating and doing. And I always use this thing that if you can't walk like this, you can always, pull that little bit with your toes somehow, it moves you. And the fields are perfection and existence. Yeah, perseverance and aspiration. So aspiration, your goal, especially integral yoga, is beyond what you can see. It's beyond what you can know. And perseverance, you simply walk it. Then you come to the lower emotions and stuff. And it's very interesting because this is the orange color. So this was what triggered me to start with, no? This space is basically where our greeds and anger and all these kind of things sits. No, it's our demons, whatever. And now I take Indian mythology, and I'm a Westerner, and I don't have that deep knowledge, but I know what hits my heart. No, so basically this is the cave, where the cows are hidden, and all these demons are standing outside. And what do they want? Well, they want the nectar of immortality. No. And now we have a mother who says, I'm the mother of them all, the gods and the demons too, okay? And the two qualities here are receptivity and progress. And the fields, it's totally amazing, that just blows one completely out. The fields are bliss and consciousness, sitting right here. So when you have that conversation, and for me, the first thing was simply to talk with all this crash inside myself, and able to be able to say, it's coming, it will be there. We have to work together. Because Mother says that the converted vital is something else. And, it's the golden horse sits basically here, no? And then I happen to, because I get these things in the night and I get very curious, I went to look it up, the vital. And the flowers which she has named on the vital, I had no idea. It's a list like this. So many tools, so many ways to understand how we work with that part in ourselves. I haven't even been able to have time to research it. Just some weeks ago, when I was suddenly like, I wonder, that quote that I keep thinking about, when she said that the converted vital, I need to go and find it. And then I look up, and then I see that hardly any other topic has that many flowers as the vital. So very detailed work, and this consciousness and bliss and receptivity and progress, that's all what is needed. It's very simple. Then you go to the Muladhara chakra at the base, the physical body, material. And then how we have had all these things fed to us, that human beings are actually basically greedy and needy, and it's all for procreation, love and the sex and the whole thing, sort of, And then you look at what are the qualities here. So the two qualities here are courage and goodness. The body, this amazing vehicle that is given to us, and we usually don't treat it very well, and we are all mind over matter and whatever, no. Goodness and courage is sitting there. And it's actually the one that is holding our fears for us a lot, no? Okay. Not only that, but the fields are light and life. So, there you have your cows of light, it's all, it's all these things. It's something amazingly, amazingly, amazingly beautiful. Really, very, very beautiful. In these exercises, at one point, because, you put one of these qualities into the front, no? For example, you put sincerity, and you feel it. And you can feel it, it's not that you are like totally very strong and stable. We have all these qualities, but it's not that they are so developed in us always, no. And any quality can't be at its full maximum unless all the other ones are too, no. So I remember doing with Uma, we're sitting in the garden, and like, what if you take sincerity? And then you put next to it peace on one side and humility on the other side. Like you are kind of two sisters or brothers who are just standing there next with you, quiet. They don't take place, they don't go to the front, they're just standing there with you. So then, at one point I did exercises, both using the chakras with two qualities, and then standing, and you will see what it feels like in your body when you get all those elements working together in support of each other. But one is at the front, no? Why do we cry when we are in devotion? Because of this immense gratitude. I mentioned this to somebody the other day. I was years back now, no? But I went out to a friend because I had a fight with my husband and I was all broken down and like that, no? And we were sitting, talking, and and she was calming me down and like that. And I guess I was a bit unreasonable in my anger and things. And then she said to me, Jaya, every evening I go around in my house and I look at my things that I have. And it's not that we had that many things in those days. She said, and I thank everyone who has given this to me. So she said to me, you know how many times I thank you every evening? It brought a whole different dimensions into me. It was not anything like, oh yeah, nothing. It was like, God, somebody gives me that kind of love. Somebody thinks about me every day with gratitude. What an amazing gift. I didn't know that I was loved like that. It's not easy, no? So I think that all of these ones will all help with everything, but gratitude is the one thing which will help you in life. If you have depressions, whatever you have, whatever you do, pain, suffering, whatever, remember to be grateful. Go and do it. Just even, it's like the mantras. You just do it for the sake of doing it first, and then it comes. It just fills life, no? There is one, my husband has that one put up on his wall, quote from Mother, where somebody asks her, how can we best help Sri Aurobindo? And you know what she says? Be happy. It's quite amazing.